kids with special needs, differently abled, they're like everybody else. They just want to be like everybody else. They have the same
Yes.
dreams, the same goals, the same aspirations. And so, we want to make an environment. We want to facilitate an environment that they can be that. They can be who they want to be.
Hi, I'm Pam Flannery, and welcome to a brand new podcast, Moving Mountains, celebrating wins that different churches and the church as a whole have experienced, particularly over this past year. In this podcast, I get the amazing opportunity to talk with pastors from all over the country, from many different denominations and backgrounds, and I look forward to listening along with you as they share with us how they overcame challenges during these uncertain times. Each month, you'll hear stories that inspire you and your leaders, prompting fresh ideas for your ministry. Welcome to Moving Mountains. Hi, my name is Pam Flannery. I lead our customer communities at Pushpay and Church Community Builder. Today, I have the honor to introduce you to Will Marotti, founder and lead pastor of New Life Church in Wallingford, Connecticut. Welcome, Will. It is so great to have you. I just love for you to share a little bit about yourself and the history of New Life Church. I know you're the founding pastor, lead pastor there now, so would love to hear your story.
Yeah, Pam, thank you so much. This is been looking forward to this. I know when you first asked us to do it a couple weeks ago, I've been psyched up ever since then. So thank you so
Oh,
much. Life has been great. God's been good. Grew up here in the Northeast. I'm a New England native, born and raised. I know the culture. I know the folks. Didn't necessarily grow up as a Jesus follower in home. Started following Jesus in my young adult time. I had gone to a pagan festival in Fort Lauderdale called Spring Break. And that was really the impetus for me coming to follow Jesus. Met my wife, who was a follower of Jesus before I was. Met my wife, Ann, and I've been married for 33 years. And Ann had a calling for ministry, and I had a calling for ministry. So we kind of followed that up. We helped launch a church in northeastern Connecticut that's still active today. My mentor, my pastor, Fred Massey, still there 7 years later. And so we started New Life Church in our living room. Ann and I, three other adults, 1999. We had our first public service in December of 1999. And it's been fun. God's grown the church. We've seen many people come to Christ. We're in our fourth location, and I hope you can come out and see it someday. It's a beautiful location. We purchased what was a conference center, and we've got a beautiful property and a lot of folks. So it's been great. It's been really great. God's blessed us, and we just feel fortunate every single day we're alive to serve God.
I'd love to hear that. I will definitely get out there at some point. I'd love to come and visit you. And I've seen pictures of the ministry there, and you're right, it's gorgeous. You guys are really blessed. You also have a passion for special needs ministry in addition to leading your church well. And I was so touched by your story, your personal story of your son. I have friends with different abled children who have shared how difficult it has been to get connected in the church because
Sure.
there just aren't ministries available to children. One friend was telling me she has a son with cerebral palsy, and she was saying, he's verbal, he gets excited, and she'd get the looks and she'd feel uncomfortable and feel like she needed to leave. And she finally did find a church, thank God, that has a special needs program. But I'd love for you to share
Mm.
a little bit about your personal story with your son, Will, and what prompted you to start the special needs. I say special needs, I'm old school
That's
here.
fine. It's still a very used
Ministry.
term. Well, we had one child, our beautiful daughter Andrea, who we're very proud of. She's a registered nurse and just taking care of folks all through COVID down in New York City and Manhattan. She was down
Wow.
there in the belly of the beast the whole time, and we're proud of her. And then Ann got pregnant with our second child, and it was a boy. It was great. So we're gonna have a girl and a boy. We're excited and wonderful. No indication that anything was wrong. Everything seemed fine. No, doctors were good. I had completed a hospital chaplaincy program in my younger part of my ministry, so I'm very familiar with hospital settings. And I could just tell she had to go C-section with Will, and I could tell from the moment he cried that something was different.
Mm.
Uh, Will was born with Down syndrome. It was a total shock to us. We had no expectation of it. And he also had a very critical heart defect that we thought he wasn't going to make it from. The doctors gave only a 50% chance of survival. But he did survive. So he's 22 years old now. And I got to tell you, that changes your life. When you're excited you're going to have a kid, everything's fine. when you have a child with special needs, a differently able child, it just changes everything. You don't even realize. But I can say, looking back at 22 years, we wouldn't change. Uh, I'm sorry. What a mush.
No, I don't want you to apologize. I love your heart.
Will has brought so much joy into our
Yeah.
lives, into our congregation's lives. He's the biggest cheerleader on Sunday morning. He
Mhm.
leads the applause when he thinks his dad says something praiseworthy. I mean, people love him. He's a great kid. He's about to start his dream job. He's 22. He's in a work training program. He's about to start his lifetime dream job. He's going to start working at Chick-fil-A. We are
Love
so
it.
excited. We are so excited. And Chick-fil-A is going to provide a great opportunity for him. And we're so
Mm,
thrilled for that. So, having said that, we've been in the community. We're very involved in the Special Olympics. We know a lot of families. And I just know there's tons of families. That's a biblical term, tons. There's tons of families that they don't know what to do or where to go because there isn't something for their child, whether they're on the spectrum or they have Down syndrome or they have cerebral palsy. They don't know what to do. So we hosted recently two years in a row, we hosted the Night to Shine dances that are sponsored by the Tim Tebow Foundation. And we brought in literally hundreds of people with adults and teens with special needs. Our church responded so fanatically to it. They just loved it. We said, you know what we need to do? We need to do this every week. We need to have a ministry that will help bless the families with kids who are differently abled or special needs. And so we've got a large property, we've got a lot of space. And I said, we're going to take a wing and we're going to repurpose that wing and we're going to turn it into a sensory area for kids that need it. We're also going to which we have started, a buddy program for the kids that can be mainstreamed into the regular classes in kids' church. So we've got buddies for them. And we're gonna open this up, and we think people will flock to the church because they'll know that there's something for their boy, their girl, their teen. We already have those families. The word's already out that, because we have a child like that, people come to the church. But we're just gonna blow it up, and we're gonna bless people. We're gonna bless those kids with special needs, those differently abled children and teenagers. And we would have been farther down the road with that this year had it not been for that COVID hiccup we had.
sure. Yeah.
That's where, boy, I tell you, talk about blessing. We've been with CCB Church Community Builders and Pushpay for about 9 years. 5 years ago, we made a conscious decision that we wanted to switch everybody over, as many people that would allow, switch over to electronic giving. No real reason, just thought it was a good idea. We had the app powered by Pushpay. We still use a wonderful resource. And so we knew we had to start lead by example. So I've always liked writing the check and dropping it. But we don't have plates, right? So we have offering boxes. So I always like writing the check and dropping it in. I just feel good about it, right? And others did too. And so Ann and I said, man, if we're going to pull this off, we're going to lead by example. So we signed up through, I did it. In fact, I did it in church, live in church. I said, all right, I'm signing up on the app right now. Here it is, Pushpay. And I put it right. We started that 5 years ago. We put a lot of resource into that. We have videos that are available on how to give electronically. And we have those going on in our lobby. We have giving kiosks. You can give on your phone. You can give on your computer. But it all goes into, and Pushpay is what facilitates that. So I told you a couple weeks ago, and I just checked to make sure I was telling you the truth. Pastors need to tell the truth, it's important.
Yes, you do.
78 fully, all through COVID and up to today, up to the last 78% of our giving comes in electronically. So, the two biggest numbers most pastors are concerned about, A, is what was the offering after Sunday, and B, what was the attendance. I virtually don't even check the offering anymore because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant what comes on Sunday, because with Pushpay, we've got it coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. And through COVID, unbelievably, our offerings remain stable. And so I look back and I go, man, is this kind of a Joseph saving Egypt kind of moment, because we didn't know 5 years ago there's going to be a global pandemic that was going to cripple churches and put businesses out and cause
Mhm.
people to be, jobless. We had no idea about that, but we just felt we've got the technology. Why don't we take the pressure off of people? Oh, I forgot my checkbook. I forgot my money. I forgot my envelope. I forgot just set. And we tell them, set it up on your phone through the app, our New Life Church app, which is powered by Pushpay, and just we set it and forget it. That's our buzz. We set it
I
and
love
forget it.
that. Set
And
it and
your
forget it.
offering is there. You don't have to worry about it. And people do special offerings through there, and just everything we need comes through. So 78%. So 78% of all of our giving comes through Pushpay. It's remarkable in my estimation. I think it's remarkable, and I think apart obviously from prayer, because prayer is what powers everything we do as believers. I think Pushpay on a practical level helped sustain and allowed our church to continue functioning and functioning strong. We're having, as we're doing this right now, we're having a Red Cross blood drive at the church right now. We're starting camp next Monday, this coming Monday. Can't all summer long camp because we've got swimming pools and basketball courts and rock climbing walls. We've just got everything for camp. But because we were able to be sustained through those really dark times of COVID, we're still able to continue and offer the ministries to the community that we have done, and we didn't have to pull back anything. I told you our food pantry, we serve 750 families a month. We gave away last year 230,000 pounds of food. That's because the offering stayed stable, because for whatever reason, the Holy Spirit impressed upon us 5 years ago, man, you got to get your guys on electronic giving. And we're here. Praise God, we're here and we're through it, and we're going to get past it, and we're going to start our expanded special needs ministry for our differently abled children, boys, girls, and teenagers. So, yeah.
With this ministry that you're creating, you were saying that, like, let's talk about first the size of your
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
You don't have a church of 20,000 people that are funding this.
No. Pre-COVID, our congregation was maybe 1,100. Easter, you'd have 1,500, 1,600. Christmas Eve, that same. So, but now we're saying, what's our church now? We don't even know what our church is now because of COVID. We're only averaging 50% of our in-person attendance. I think a study came out in Gallup a couple weeks ago, said 25% of people who were in church pre-COVID have now disconnected. And not only are they disconnected from in-person church, they're not watching. They're just not there. 25% gone. Now, that doesn't really alarm me because we started with 5. I just thought, now we're going to start over again with 500. I don't know what the number is. Every week we see people for the first time we haven't seen in a year. And generally
Wow.
they're crying during worship because they missed their church so much. Talked to a
Yeah.
gentleman yesterday. He said, "Oh, I've been out of church so long, I don't know what to do." I said, "Just come back." It's not
Yeah.
it's not a hard formula. Just come back. Nobody knew you were missing, so just come on back, right? So, it's been fun from that perspective. But yeah, I just, it's not a big church. 1,000 people church in Texas or Florida or Colorado is an afterthought. But for Connecticut, it's good size. It's
Huge.
it's enough going on. And they're
Yeah.
good givers. They're just dedicated, faithful, good, generous, giving people. So we're just able to do stuff that a lot of churches our side maybe aren't able to do because of the faithfulness and consistency of the people God's given us here. So,
Love it. How many children do you have now with different abled children?
yeah, I'd say it's about a dozen. We just started the buddy program. We're about a year behind with COVID. We had all this planned for last year, but who knew? We've got about a dozen kids now that are coming on a regular basis. I'm so my friend. We've got a young man named Brian, and Brian is like Will, except Brian's just a little older than Will, and they have become the best buddies. And
Wow.
so youth group, they still go to youth group. They sit together in youth group, and we have Brian over the house, and they play pool together and go in the pool together. And it's just so great. But, we want that for everybody. We want everybody to have friends. We want everybody to feel, because the kids with special needs, differently abled, they're like everybody else. They just want to be like everybody else. They have the same
Yes.
dreams, the same goals, the same aspirations. And so, we want to make an environment. We want to facilitate an environment that they can be they can be who they want to be. And
Yes.
and what that's helping them with job coaching as they get older, we've gone through it with Will, or just a place where their parents can go and can feel that their children are safely cared for, and they can go and freely worship God and not worry about the poor kid being a distraction, or just we want to minister to the whole family. We know the stress that parents feel because of their child. We want to relieve parents at least a bit of time during the week. We want to relieve them of that so that they can just freely worship God. The children can learn about God. They can be cared for in an environment that works for them. And I can't wait till we're fully operational. I'm going to be jumping up and down when that happens.
Absolutely. So will you be offering different opportunities during the week as well as Sunday?
We know our church was built on a small group system. We call it growth groups. Everybody calls it something different. And so we can foresee a time that we'll have growth groups. We actually have one now. We've been doing a special needs adult ministry for years. The third building we were in was a pharmacy, and we were going to sell it, but we put a contingency into into the property and we sold it. We said, if we'll sell this to you, but you have to continue to let us use it for our adult special needs ministry on Monday nights. And so they agreed to that. And so we've been doing, and again, COVID completely upended all that. But we work with the group homes in the area so that we have special need, differently abled adults, young adults coming in, and we'll do a small group of them each week. I can see that expanding both for more adults and teenagers, and whatever the need presents itself. Sure.
Thank you for doing this. I'm hoping that our listeners will be inspired
Mm,
to, maybe they're kind of been waffling on, should we do this? Should we not do this? What would you say to pastors and ministry leaders that maybe they've never thought of it, but now, or maybe they've kind of entertained the thought and thought, it feels too much. It feels like a huge mountain. And how
yeah,
are we ever going to pull this off? We need so many more volunteers. Will we need to have nurses available? Well, all the questions that come, all the
yeah.
unknowns. What would you say?
I would say, first of all, it has to be a calling from God. It's too difficult to do if it's not a calling from God. If you don't do it because you think it's a growth enhancement. Oh, we're going to get
Mm,
new, it's going to grow the church. I mean, it's going to do that. I think I know other churches that it's happened in, but I'm saying if you don't feel a direct calling, if the Holy Spirit's not calling you to do this, don't do it, because there's a lot of hurdles. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. But you know what? If God's calling you to do it, God will give you the resources you need to get it done. I firmly believe that. So we've got nurses and doctors in the church. We've got special needs teachers in the church. So we've got the building blocks. We've got all the pieces in place. We just need to put it together. But it's got to be a calling, because otherwise, I think it could be, if you don't have a child that's differently able, a child with special needs, I think it could be overwhelming, because there's a lot of boxes to check off for sure. But I
yeah,
think if God calls you to do it, man, just go for it. Just
that's
say
great.
no hesitation needed. Move ahead.
Have you thought about providing resources for pastors and leaders that maybe they want to step out in faith and do this, but they are like, I don't know where to start? Do you have any material that you can provide for them?
We don't, but I think that's going to be a natural outgrowth of the ministry. I think, as we learn to do it, I can tell you a lot now about how to switch your congregation over to Pushpay. I can tell you a lot about that because we've been doing it, right?
Let's
But
talk about that.
this is still fairly new. We'll do a
Yeah,
separate podcast on that one. This is still fairly this is still fairly new. But I think the outburst of that will be, yeah, sure, people are going to want to know how to do it, and as we learn, we'll document, and we'll certainly share that and try to help as
that's
many other
great.
churches get up and running as possible. Sure.
That's great. We look forward to that resource when you have it available. I do want to piggyback on what you just said a little bit. Switching people over, there have been pastors and leaders who've said, we're just not sure how to get our congregation to switch
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
online giving or, using our app. How do you motivate? We have a church here locally that I love what they did. They actually committed their entire Sunday morning to sharing the process and, hey, pull out your phones. It was really engaging and I really enjoyed it. They sent
Mhm.
me the link and I loved watching it. Did you do something like that or was it a slow, gradual process? How
Well,
did you
I
encourage
mean,
people?
we didn't start out at 78% 5 years ago. We already had a number of people. Younger millennial generations were already, the computers and phones. They're native. I mean, they get it, and it's a constant, consistent. We have an area in our church called Main Street, and there's a number of monitors that are on the wall, and each one will be looping a different video emphasis, right? Well, every single week we got here's the giving video, and it's push pay, and it's the phone, and it's the kiosk, and it's the computer. It's consistency. It's getting people to share testimonies. We do video. This is why we do it. This is why we enjoy it. It's all the above. It's every way that you can get that message out, but consistently over time. And so we went from maybe 20% of our offering was electronic to now it's 78% in 5 years. You could, if you were, more creative and smarter than I am, I'm sure you could do a lot faster. But it's just time and consistency, and using a number of ways to communicate. Why do you want to do this? Why is this important for your church? And I think any church can do it. And I'll tell you, it's such a blessing to know that I don't have to think about the offering on Sundays anymore. It's wonderful.
Wow, that really is. What else do you use the app for in addition to giving?
Well, our sermons are on it. We have a media section. We have, people can send in prayer requests, and we literally get prayer requests from all over the country. Prayer requests on that. Special announcements. We do sign-ups for events. Things of that nature. So it's the app is pretty active and used quite a bit. So we really enjoy it a lot.
That's great. Yeah, I'd love to
Powered by
see.
Pushpay. So,
Powered by Pushpay. I would love to see a video of what you have there on Main Street. So maybe you'll have to send that to me.
yeah, we
Well,
sure
we
will.
are
Yep.
yeah, we are out of time. I could talk to you for hours. We've spoke before, and I think an hour went by so
Yeah,
quickly when we spoke the first time. But
fun.
I really appreciate you, Pastor Will, and I am hopeful that so many that have been considering special needs will take that step of faith. Maybe they'll reach out to you. So where
Hope
can they
so.
find
Yeah.
you? What
They
is your
can. My email is pastorwill@newlifechurchct.com. Pastorwill@newlifechurchct.com.
That's great. Thank you for being available and,
My pleasure.
encouraging other leaders, and we really appreciate it. So
Thanks for
God bless
asking
you.
us.
I'm excited to see what you're gonna build. I definitely wanna be there at some point. I'm gonna make that a priority. So
Great. We'd
have a
love to have you.
wonderful
Thank
day,
you.
and thank you so much for sharing today.
All right, you're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
This has been Pushpay's Moving Mountain podcast. Real talk from church leaders about overcoming challenges and growing their ministries. If you'd like to learn more about church staff or any of the features mentioned in our podcast, visit us at pushpay.com. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get notified whenever a new episode comes out. You don't want to miss any of these great conversations with amazing people. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.